It's kind of a privilege to be able to watch a landscape respond and change after a fire event like this.
10 months after the firestorms of October, fire as a transforming force is something we've all become acquainted with. But for people who study fire, there is more anticipation than dread in landscapes like this one. Here in Mark West, where a new regional park is being assembled, stewardship planner and fire ecologist Monica Del Martini took us on a walk into a forest changed but hardly destroyed. On slopes charred black by the Tubbs fire, even scientists weren't sure what to expect.
What we're seeing now this summer and 10 months later is a tremendous amount of greening up throughout the canopy, mostly in the coast redwoods, and then all of the hardwoods, the oaks, the bay laurels, the madrones, are all resprouting from their bases and are all still alive.
On a human scale, fire can seem tragic, and in the case of lost homes and livelihoods, it certainly is. But fire ecologists have a somewhat different perspective. To them, fire is an important disruptive force, and our North Bay landscapes are dynamic, constantly in ecologic motion, and tremendously resilient. Among the surprises, coast redwoods sprouting vigorous new growth, not just from their bases, but all along their charred trunks.
We were uncertain about whether the actual above-ground portions of the trees were going to survive. We know that coast redwoods can resprout from their bases after fire or after being cut, but what we're seeing is that the trees are greening up all along their lengths and really have a lot of vigor left in them.
Human suppression of fire here in the Mark West Creek watershed and elsewhere means most western forests have had a century to build up excess fuel, leaving experts initially uncertain about the lasting effects of a severe burn like this one. What they're seeing is encouraging, a profusion of adaptation, a return of hardwoods, oak and madrone, and in the coming years perhaps fewer Douglas firs, trees that tend to crowd out others in the absence of fire. And in the meantime, many other species showing resilience and writing a new chapter in our knowledge of fire recovery.
I've been in there repeatedly since the fires, so we saw, huge flushes of mushrooms come up. We saw all the ferns. We saw how quickly some of the native plant species, some lilies, came back in the spring. So it's just really there's a lot to discover on kind of a small scale once you get into the forest. I think it's going to be really educational and hopefully really comforting for people to see the landscape recover and to see how resilient this system is here.
In Mark West, Carl Van Amberg for News of the North Bay.